Hello everyone, am I audible now? I guess now I've started the live stream and the screen is visible. Guys, if I'm audible, then kindly okay, thank you. Advait and Kuldeep have said already yes. Okay, that's good. So let me just start my screen share and then we'll start with the lab session. So guys, is my screen visible now? Okay, so let us start. First of all, you guys will have to create a new Python notebook, that is new Jupyter notebook. Click on the new icon over here, drop down, and then select the Python 3 option. So when you'll click over here, you'll be greeted with a new Python notebook, sorry, new Jupyter notebook, and it will be a very fresh notebook. So you guys will have to start with a new notebook, and I have already created a Jupyter notebook for the reference purpose. So I'll be using that, and with the help of this reference notebook, I will explain the lab session to you guys. So let's get started now. So this notebook will teach you the basics of Python programming language. This notebook is quite basic, but it is an important foundation. That means many of the students have scored 70% in the lab session. So this will help them to clear the basic concepts of Python. Now, you will actually implement by reading and writing the Python code, and by the end of this notebook you will know the basics, like how to write basic print commands and basic types, like how to do typecasting and how to determine the type of variable and how to initialize some variables, and then we will also perform some simple operations on them. So this is the table of contents. I have written it down because I will be sharing the lab file. I mean, I will be sharing this notebook with you guys once the lab is over. So don't worry if you miss out some code. Either you can go a bit back, you can go 5 to 6 seconds behind, and then you can continue with where I was, or else you can simply uh, download the notebook with the link which I share with you guys. So let us start. In this lab, we will be, first of all, we'll be writing hello world, because in any programming language, every beginner must write hello world because it is the customary rule. We can say that. We can say it is a customary rule of every programming language to write hello world before starting. It is just a joke. Don't take it seriously. Okay. So what is we will also see what version of Python we are using. Some might be using Python version 3.6, 2.0, 3.8. So we'll see which version we are using. Then we will see how to write comments. We will also see errors in Python. Don't get me wrong. This is not a error handling part. We will see how we get errors and how to rectify the errors. And then we will also see does we will also see if Python knows your error before the code runs. And then we have a small exercise. Then we will see types of objects in Python. I have already told the types of objects. We have the practical implementation of these types, and then we will see expressions and variables. These are new topics which I'll be explaining it to you in this lab session. So, how to write your first code in Python, that is hello world. First, we have to write the print command. Now, what does this print command do? Print command uh, prints out a line in Python. So we will start by writing hello world in Python. Now, whenever you write a code and you want to execute it in Jupyter Notebook, how will you execute a code? Either you can click on this run icon, which is just below the cell. This is the cell section, and this is the run icon. So you can click on the run icon and it will execute the cell. And there is another method which is a shortcut key. So you can simply use shift plus enter to execute your code. Now let me start by writing print hello world. Okay, so I will write print, and then I will, instead of hello world, we'll take this time hello Python. Python. So now my code is ready and we are ready to execute. So how do we execute it? We execute it by the method of pressing shift and then enter. Guys, if you have any doubt within this lab section, please ask me in the live chat section and I will answer it as soon as possible, or whenever it is possible for me to answer. Okay. So after executing the cell above, you should see that this print hello Python actually prints hello Python. So congratulations on running your first Python program. Not program, your first code. Now I have also written the is print is a function. So it takes a parameter in this parenthesis. So the parameter which we passed was hello Python, and it will tell Python, the print command will tell Python to print a line, and the line is the hello Python line. Now we will see what version of Python are we using. There are various Python versions available in the market. The two popular versions of Python programming are the Python 2 and Python 3. The Python 3 community has decided to move on from Python 2 to Python 3 because of various reasons. Like Python 3, the first and foremost reason is Python 2 is outdated. Python 3 has a lot of various other plus points, like it is more easy to use and it has come with a lot of improvements. Since Python 3 is the future, in this webinar series, we will be using it exclusively. And now, how do we know that our notebook is executed by a Python 3 runtime? You can see at the top right corner of your Jupyter notebook, there is a logout button, or you can see there is a Python icon. Below that, you will see that Python 3 is written, and this Python 3 says that you are running Python 3 kernel. So this is how you understand that your notebook is running Python 3. But there is also another method to ask Python that which version are you running. So we can directly ask it by using some commands. I'll share the commands with you. So it is import sys. Now, what does import word do? We have various modules and libraries in Python. So import function simply imports the libraries. How we use include in C and C++. So in Python, we have import. So we import the system module and then we write sys.version. Now when you write sys.version, it will simply return the version of the Python environment which we are using. So execute this code and you will see the version as 3.8.1 in my case, and it might be different in yours. If you don't want to write it explicitly, you can use the print command to execute it, and then when we execute, the output is 3.8.1. Again, it is the same. Now this is a side, I mean, this is not the part of lab session exactly, but if you wish to know what all modules are there in this library or in this system module, you can use the command sys.modules to see what all are there in this module. We have bunch of stuff in this system module, so it is a lot of information. So we'll simply comment this out and again execute it, so it will go back. Now this is a single line code which tells us which version of Python are we using. So you can simply write percent, not sorry, not percent, exclamation symbol, and then Python, a space, and then dash, and then capital V. It will tell Python, please return me the version of your runtime. So it will return as Python 3.8. Now, as I said, sys is a built-in module that contains many system-specific parameters and functions. Now, how do we write comments in Python? Writing comment is a very good habit, or it is always a good idea to add comments to your code. It will help others to understand what you are trying to accomplish, or it will also help you to understand why you had written this code. Suppose, for example, you are in a project, okay, and you have written the code for you have written long codes for your project, and there are various modules in your project, and it is 2 or 3 months since you started. Now, if you find any, I mean, if you encounter any error in future, and you wish to see what was your error and where did it go wrong, if you try to see your code and if you try to read it all, you will not be able to find it easily. You will not be able to find where the mistake went, so where you went wrong easily. So it will take a lot of time. If you have written the comments in your code, suppose for example, let me say I'm writing print hello and I'm adding a comment. Suppose I'm adding a comment that this line will print hello. Unless and until your code has such kind of comment, you will not be able to understand what your code does, and you will have to read the code from beginning to understand what went wrong. So comments in Python play a major role in saving our time for coding. Now, how to write comments in Python? In Python, you can simply write comments by using the hash symbol, forward hashtag, or a pound symbol. So this hashtag symbol will denote a comment. Now we will we will again write print hello Python, and then we will add a comment in front of this line of code. So we will write this line prints hello. Now when we try to execute this, we can see that Python has ignored this comment, and this was also a comment. So Python has ignored both of these lines, and it has executed only the part which was not mentioned in the comment, and whatever was mentioned after the comment symbol, after the hashtag, was omitted by Python, or in simple word, it was not executed. So you can also do the same and then check it out. Now you can there is also a method to like write comments to span the single comment in multiple lines. You can use triple quotes, or I'll just show it to you. Wait, I'll just add another cell, and then I will write 1 2 3. You add 3 quotes, and then this spans a multiple line comment. You can also use this triple quotes to add documentation to your Python code. So Suppose you have made a library or you have made a function and you wish to see what this function does. So what you can do is you can add triple single quotes and you can write whatever you want to write. Suppose printing a statement, and whenever you try to execute a function and you don't know what is the purpose of this function, you can go on the function. Suppose I'm going on this print function and I'm typing shift and tab. So I'm pressing shift and tab, and then again shift and tab, and then again shift and tab for multiple times. Now I can see that I have a small documentation of this print function. What this print function does is it prints the value to a stream or something. I mean, what I'm trying to say is this thing is basically written using this doc tag symbol. Doc tag is this symbol, triple single quotes. So you can do this in Python and span a comment up to multiple lines, or you can add documentation to your Python code. Now, we will see errors in Python. Everyone makes mistakes. Now, for many types of mistakes, Python will tell you that you have made some kind of mistake, and it will give you an error message. Now, it is very important to read the error message carefully because it will help you to understand where you made a mistake and how you may go about correcting it. So, let us say we spelled the word print as frint. So, this is the correct code, print hi. This is printing perfectly. Now let's say I misspelled it to frint and I try to execute it. You will notice that we make, I mean, you will notice that it gives an error, and this error message tells you where the error went wrong. This arrow symbol tells you that your error occurred over here on this line, that is frint and high. Now it also tells you what type of error it was, what kind of error it was. Now it was a name error. Name error simply means that you have misspelled a name. So now to rectify it, you can simply replace it by print, and you see that high is executed again. I'm replacing it with print so that you guys can understand it when you see my Jupyter notebook. Now, Python also tried to run this command print, but it could not determine what this print was since it is not a built-in function and it has not been previously defined by us. So it gave us a syntax error. Now, sorry, it gave us a name error. Now we also have a type of error which is known as syntax error. Now, what is a syntax error? Syntax is basically you did some mistake while giving it a proper body. So suppose I write this command print and then I type hello. Okay. Now instead of closing the single quotes over here, I removed it and now I try to execute. It gave me an error which is syntax error, and this small arrow tells me that error went wrong. I mean, my code went wrong over here at this point. So it is saying end of line while scanning the literal. So this means that the Python interpreter was expecting me to end the line. How do I end the line? By giving a single quote. And now I have ended the line. Now I try to execute it. It is successful. So this is another type of error which we can see in Python. Now, does Python know about your error before it runs your code? Now see, Python is what is called as an interpreted language. Python is called as an interpreted language. Why? Because it does not compile your code before it is running. So it is different than compiled languages. Compiled languages examine your entire program at compile time, and are able to warn you about the whole class of errors prior to execution. That is, it will it will see if you have any errors. It will see if you are doing something wrong, if you have not mentioned any syntax correctly, and it will pop up and it will warn you with the errors. It will show the errors, and it will not allow your code to run. So in contrast, Python interprets your script line by line as it executes. So if you have made any error, Python will not know until and unless it has seen that line, until and unless it has come on that line and it has faced the error. So it will stop executing your entire program when it encounters an error. Now let's see by creating an error on our own. So let's say I write print, then I write Advait, and then I write print, not print, I write print, and then not to be executed, and then I write print Python. So here it will print Advait, but then it will give me a name error because I have not used the correct name, and then it will not move on. It will stop execution. So Python will not execute the error, will not execute our code once it is faced with an error unless we handle these errors. Okay, so there are various error handling mechanisms to handle such type of errors, but we are not going to go in such depth. So let us write your first program. I mean, this is an exercise for you guys, but I will also code along. So the question is to write your code. And okay, so I'll be giving you the question, I'm sorry. um you have to print simple, it is very simple. You have to print hello world, like how we did earlier. You have to use the print command to to print hello world on the screen. So once you're done with execution, kindly comment in the live chat section with yes. Okay, so I've received Kuldeep's message as yes. Waiting for others. Prathamesh, Advait. Okay. Akansha. Okay. So there are 5 students who have Vidyut has done it. Okay. So now once you have executed this code, okay, Sagarika and Pranav have also done this. Good. So once you have executed this code, simply now you can enhance your code by giving it a comment. So just give it a comment. Try practicing giving some comment. For example, you can give a comment as this line prints something, or this line prints hello, or something like that. So I'll print hello world for those who did not get how to do. Now when I execute it, it will print hello world, and the next line will be done once the students reply with a yes with the next for the next section. You can give any comment. You can also write hash and then printing traditional hello world or something like that. Anything is fine. Just add a comment so that you also know how to add a comment in Python. Okay, so many students have said yes. Fine. So now I will also do it. Print hello world. And then I'm adding a comment. Okay, so section now. This is types of objects in Python. We have, okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't see the comments. Guys, please comment with a yes once you are done. And those who have commented, it's good. I'll wait for some time for the ones who have not done it yet. Okay, so I guess I should move on to the next section because I am assuming that most of the students have done this comment part. So now we will see types of object Python. Um, as you all have studied in the explanation part of this webinar, that we have various types. So I will just give a brief overview of this. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. We all know that. So there are many different types of objects in Python. Let us start with the most common types. So they are strings, integers, floats, and Boolean also. So these are the very most common types of Python. Now, anytime you write words or text in Python, you're using character strings. So, character strings or strings for short. The most common numbers, on the other hand, are integers. For example, -1, 10, 0, float, 100. And now floats represent real numbers, that is 3.14, -42.0, and all. So let us see what this following cell does. Now when I type 11, so it will execute as 11, and these these cell have examples of each type of integers, each type of data types. So the 11 is an integer, 2.14 is a float, and the string is of the type, I mean, this statement is of the type string, that is hello Python 101, and then it is enclosed within brackets, double quotes. Sorry. So you all can also like try to execute some code with integers or float or or string. So we have already done this previously, like we have already printed a string, so you can just add a cell and type 11 or 2.14 or something like that and execute it and see the output. Now we will see the different types of, I mean, how to see the type of an expression. So as I said, Python is providing us with a command called as type to check the type of an expression. So you can get Python to tell you the type of any expression or a variable by using the built-in type method or type function. You'll notice that Python refers to integers as int and float as float and character strings as string. So let us see. Um, so we'll use the same number which we had used previously, 11. So when I type 11 and then I'll pass it in the type command and execute it, it will return me with the type of this number, which is integer. Now if I type float in the, sorry, now if I pass 2.14 in the type command, it will return me with the type of the number 2.14 as float. So it is float also. Now if I try to pass in a string, this question was of Lavanya. So he had asked me how to pass a string. So first of all, we will add double quotes. No, let me write it from beginning. So we will write type and then add parenthesis. Then I will add double quotes. Then I will simply type string string. So if I execute it, Python is telling me that it is of type str. Now we saw the type of integer, float, and string. Now I will also show you how to check for the type Boolean. So you write true and then execute it. See, it is giving us the output as bool, which is Boolean. Now in the code in the cell below, use the type command to check the object type of the number 12.0. Now you have to execute this code and tell me if you have go tell me what type of object have you got it in your Jupyter notebook. You have to use the type method to check the type of object 12.0. Yes, Kuldeep, if you type your name, then within the single quotes also it will give you a string only. So I'll use your name also, Kuldeep. Then I have used single quotes over here, and then when I execute it, it will again give me str. Let me just comment it. Now it will give me str. So you can use either single quotes or double quotes. Okay, so I have also received a few answers from Akansha, Advait, Pranav, Kuldeep. Okay, the answers are float. Exactly, you're all of you are correct. So I will execute the code now. I will write type and then 12.0. Execute it, and you can see that I have got float as my answer. Good going, Lavanya Joshi also. Very good. So now we will see integers. See, integers are from, you can say we have a long range of integers, but there are a lot of, the range is very big, so we don't have to worry about the range of integers. This is the same example which I had used in my presentation. So we can see that integers can be positive or negative. We can verify this thing by we can verify this thing by typing the number in the type command. So once we pass type and then -1, we can see that it is an integer. It doesn't matter whether it is positive or negative. It will always give us an integer as the output unless and until we have written a point. So if I add 1 -1.0 and execute, the type changes to float. Now if I again change it to -1, it will give me the result as int. So you can see that the type is integer if it is negative or positive, unless and until it has a decimal. Now, Kuldeep Singh said me that, okay, Kuldeep, can you please reframe your question? I did not get your question. Sir, if we type Kuldeep, if I type show str, if we type Kuldeep, um, I'm not getting your question, Kuldeep. Are you asking that if you type your name Kuldeep and then execute it, it will show str? Yeah, it will show str string. Yeah, yeah. Yes, even if you type it in single quotes or in double quotes, it will give you a string unless and until it is within quotes. So, yes, if you type it within single quotes or double quotes, you will get a string only. The type won't change. So, I hope I have cleared your doubt. Now, let's see. Now, now we will see about floats. Floats simply represent real numbers. They are a superset of integer numbers. Now, you can, if you can recall what I had shown in my presentation, I had shown that the numbers between two consecutive numbers are float. So, and also the numbers with decimal are float. So, you can think of numbers like 0.64, 5.15, all these numbers are float. There are some limitation when it comes to machine representing the real numbers, but floating points are a good representation in most of the cases. Now you can learn more about, like, you can check the type of float which your machine supports by executing the following code. So suppose you execute huh. So suppose you want to check the maximum limit of your system's float numbers. So you can write sys dot float underscore info, and when you execute this, it will show you the maximum value of the float which it can go. It is 1.797 and so on to the power 308. So it is a very long number, but very huge number, very large. And the minimum is again 2.2225 up till my raise 10 raised to minus 308. So this is the smallest number till which it can go, and this is the largest number till we can exceed the float. So float is the range of float is very large, and it might be differing in your case, but because it depends on the system which we are using. So we can test some examples with the help of type function. So previously, if you remember, I had used -1 and we got as int. Now again, I will type type and then I'll check the value of -1.0 and execute it. It will give me as float. Now if you want to check the type of 0.5, execute this and then you'll see that it is float, and similar goes for 0.56. Now I have shown this line to you, sys.float.info. It will give us the specification of maximum, minimum, and various other uh, specifications like epsilon and all for our float objects. Now we will proceed to the section of typecasting. Now, how can we convert from one type to another? Okay, there is some chat going on in the chat section. So, yes, Sagarika, you can use single quote unless you need double quotes. Yeah, and you can also use it to maintain your code, and you can go along with the single convention. If you use single quotes, then keep using single quotes in all your codes, and if you use double quotes, then use double quotes consistently. Don't mix up with single and double quotes because it will make your code more confusing. Now we will see how we can convert from one type to another. Okay, so you can change the type of an object in Python, and this is called as typecasting, as we all know. So for example, you can convert the integer to float, that is from 2 to 2.0. So let us see the type of integer 2. I'm coding along with you guys so that you can see it. When I type and then when I pass in 2, it will give me an integer. Now to cast it to float, I will simply write the desired data type. So my desired data type is float, and then I will pass in the number 2. Now if I pass in the number 2, it will convert it into float and I will see the result as 2.0. So the result is 2.0. Now when we convert an integer to float, we don't really change the value. Now, however, if we cast a float to an integer, we could potentially lose some information. Now you can see that I had shown in the presentation that if we convert from integer to float, there is no big change, because if we convert 2 as an integer from 2 to 2 to float, then the output will be 2.0. But if we have something like 2.668, so this will have a lot of effect. The conversion will result in loss of values of the decimal. Let me show you. Before that, I have missed a cell. So this cell is like you can directly convert a integer to float and check its type. So I'll simply type it for you. First of all, I'm converting an integer to float. So with the help of this code, I'm successfully converting it to float. Now I will write the type command and check its type. So this returns as float. I hope you all understand this simple line of code because it has no rocket science in it. Now, now let me show you how the loss of integers takes place, how the loss of values takes place. So now the value is, suppose, let me just replace this cell and I'll make a fresh code for you guys. So suppose if we start by casting a number which is 2.59, okay, so if we cast the number 2.59, let us say a stores the number 2.59, and then we will check the type of this number, a. So it is float. Now we will convert a equals to, or we will simply convert int the value of 2.59 into integer. So we will type int and then we will pass in a. Now you will see the output as 2. But you may note that if we try to print a again, it is the same 2. If I replace the value of a with the value of integer of a and then I try to print, it will result in loss of the value of 0.59. So when converting from float to integers, we lose some values. Now we will see how we convert string to integers or float. So we can simply use this conversion. I mean, we can simply do this conversion by passing in the string value. So you can pass in string value like 45 and it is an integer. So it will convert this 45 into integer and you can simply check the type of this integer. Let me store it in a variable called a again, and then if I try to print a, we will see the output as 45. Now if I try to see the type of this variable a, I'm typing type and then a. So you can see that it is of the class integer. We will see what are classes later on, but the main takeaway is the type is integer and the initial type was string, so we converted from string to integer. But now let's see if we can convert a string to an integer. That is, if we can convert alphabetic characters to integer. It is giving me an error which is called as value error, and this is at this place. So the error occurred at third line, which is int, and I have passed the words or alphabetic characters in the parameter. So it is an invalid literal for int with base 10. So it will not allow me to convert a word to integer. So now you have seen that how we can convert a string to integer and what are the conditions for converting. Now similar goes for float. You can convert a number to float using this float method and passing the string over here. Now you can also convert numbers to string. But this is very interesting and very simple. You simply type the word str and pass in the value which you want to convert to string. So now it has converted 1 to a string value of 1. So suppose if I convert 2609. So it has converted the value of 2609 into string, and this value is now can now be used as a string to, for example, Now if I convert this string to, or if I check the type of this string, so for this I will have to store this value. I stored it in the variable named a again, and I checked the type of a. So it is giving me as str. So I have successfully converted an integer to string. Now this example will show you how to convert a float to string. See this, I have this command will convert float to a string value. Now we will see Boolean values, but before that, let me see if there are any doubts or any comments in the live chat. Yes, Kuldeep. In some programming languages, we use single quotes for characters and double quotes for string. If you are from a C and C++ background, then you might be thinking that single quotes is used for characters and double is for string. But in Python, it is not this case. In Python, you can use either single quotes or double quotes for strings. Okay, so there is no question in the comment section. So I'm moving on to the next part. Now we will see Boolean data type. Now Boolean is another important type in Python. So we saw that Boolean has two types, which is true or false. You can, I have shown this also to you, how you can check the type of Boolean value. You should not use double quotes over here. So suppose, okay, Lavanya had asked me or someone, I don't remember, uh, if we write this quotes and then if we pass the value of true, then it will treat this value of true as a string. This value of true with, I mean, if I remove this double quotes and I simply pass the value of true, then it will change the value of, it will treat it as Boolean. And the same goes for false. Now we will see what is the, I mean, now we will see what are the numeric values of Boolean values in integer and float. So if you want to see it for integer, you can simply type int and then write true. So this will allow you to check the convert the value of true to the numeric value of true. So the numeric value of true is 1, and then again you can convert this one to the Boolean value. So when you pass in 1 and in the method bool, so it will convert from 1 to again to true. Now let's see what if we pass some other number in Boolean value. Suppose if we pass 155, it will again it as true. Now if I pass minus 155, it will consider it as true. So what I'm trying to say is that only 0 can tell 0 can be converted as a false value. So 0 is treated as false in Python. All other values except 0 will be treated as true. So if we replace, suppose if we type bool and then 0.7, this will also be treated as true. It doesn't matter what number it is. If it is not 0, it is a true value. And now if it is 0, suppose bool and then 0, it will be a false. Now if we convert it into float, it will be 1 and then small addition, which is 1.0. Now here is an exercise for you guys. So the exercise is simple and you have to write the data type of this result. Okay, so before doing this exercise, I will just show you what are expressions and how to use expressions in your code. So in Python, we have four type of expressions. Not four type. We have various type of math expressions. Now I will show mathematical expressions in Python. So till the time I prepare this small section, you can just practice the codes which I had taught you in the video. Okay, so in Python, I'm starting now. In Python, mathematical expressions and operations are of four types, basic four types. They are addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Now, what is an expression? Any expression, uh, any sequence of operator and operand is called as expression in Python. Suppose I have A plus B. So A and B are known as operands. So and B, A and B are known as operands. And this plus symbol is known as operator. If the code is not visible to you, I can zoom it so that you can see it clearly. So this A plus B, the plus is operator and A and B are operands. So let me store the value of A equals to A and B. So A equals to 5 and B equals to 10. Now I will print the value of A plus B. Now Python simply sees this expression, okay, and expressions tell Python what to do. Suppose if I use the plus symbol, then the plus symbol will add add the two operators, sorry, operands. So the operands are A and B and the operator is plus. Now if I print A minus B, then it will subtract A from B. Sorry, subtract A from B. So it will subtract 5 minus 10 and then it will return me with the result as minus 5. Now we will see multiplication. I will take division in the last because there is some special case for division. So if I try to multiply A and B, it will obviously give me 50. And then it will and then if I try to print the value of, suppose, A divided by B, here is something different. See, all the values returned by this result, returned by these operators, were of type integer. Okay, and the result returned after division is of the type float. Now, if the developers want the result to specifically be of the type integer, Python has a solution for this too. Now Python will simply we can simply use the double forward slashes symbol to use division and to divide the two operands and then make the result into integer. So here is the result and see, the result has been converted into an integer. Now if I change the type b divided by a, and then you can see that the result is 2. Now again if I check for float type, then the result will be 2.0. So these two are different types in division. So if you want to divide and get a integer value, then you can use double forward slashes. And if you want if you want a float value, then you can use single slash. Now here is a question for you. What is the type of the result 6 divided by 2? Please execute the cell and then give me the answer in the comment section. Don't use calculator because we can do it mentally also, because 6 divided by 2, we all know what the answer is. And then after this, I have another question for you guys. Yes. Okay. So, and what is the data type of this result, which is 6 divided by 2? 3.0 is the correct answer. 3 is wrong because it will give us the float type, not integer. 3 is an integer and 3.0 is the correct answer. So if you guys have any confusion, I will first of all execute 6 divided by 2 and show you the result. So the result is 3.0. And then now we can check the type of this result. So type 6 divided by 2. So the type is float, and those all who answered the answer as float are correct. Now you can also see that you can also solve this question. What is the type of the result? 6 for forward slashes, double forward slashes, and 2. So again it is 6 divided by 2, and then you have to tell me the type of this result. What is the type of the result? And you can also give the answer also, like you can. Okay, so Prathamesh Patil has already answered as 3, and yes, you are correct. Now you also need to give the data type of this integer. Shit, I already told the answer. Okay, so no worries. Now, the last thing is I want to tell you that Python follows the basic mathematical conventions. So, mathematical convention. We all have studied in when we were small about the BODMAS rule, or many might have named it. Many students might have named it as different rule, but I have studied it as a BODMAS rule. Now, what is BODMAS rule? BODMAS is simply bracket of division and multiplication. Okay, so what Python will do is Python will first check for brackets in an expression. Now for O in Python we don't have of, so then it will check for division, and then after it checks for division it will check for multiplication symbol, which is asterisk, and then after it checks for asterisk it will check for addition, and then it will check for, finally it will check for subtraction. So Python follows this basic convention of BODMAS, and I will show you how this is executed. Okay, so whenever we have an expression, suppose for example, um, 4 divided 4 sorry 100 multiplied by 5 divided by 100, or divided by 4. Okay, so can you guys guess what will be the answer of this question? 100 multiplied by 4 divided by 100 multiplied by 5 divided by 4. If you guys can guess, then it will be really good, or else I will just execute this and explain you what will Python do. Or I can simply change the 5 to 5, 5 to 20. Okay, so this might be easier for you. Okay, so I have received answer as 125, 125.0, 125, and so on. Okay, so don't get stunned if your answer is wrong. Let us see. The answer is 500, because now I'll say what Python will do. So Python will basically check for division. So it will check for division symbol first. Here we don't, before division, it will check for bracket. Okay, then it will go for division, then it will check for multiplication, and then addition and subtraction respectively. So here we don't have brackets, so then Python will check for division symbol. So now Python has got the division symbol over here. So what it will do is it will divide 20 by 4 first. So what is 20? What is 20 divided by 4? It is 5. And then it will multiply 5 with 100. And now it will give us the answer as 500 as a float. Okay, so now same question, and I have added a bracket in this. So 100 into 20, 100 into 20 and then 4. Now can you guys give me the answer? Oh, sorry. Um, sorry. 100 into 8 divided by 4, and then again I'm adding into 8. So, okay, there is a question with the previous answer. Yes, yes, absolutely correct. So now when I execute this, so the Python will go for the brackets first, and then it will see if there are any brackets in this code. So it will execute 100 into 8, and then it will divide, and then it will multiply. So the answer will be 1600. So how we'll see it? See 100 into, and then when it is divided by 4, it is 400. And okay, oh, so in, I'm sorry, it was my bad. Python does not execute brackets also. I did not take this into consideration, and it is my bad. So Python only checks for division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And when you try to execute the same code with the brackets also, it will go for division first. And this is the hierarchy which is followed by Python. Okay, so here when we execute it, it will first divide it, and then it will first divide, and then it will multiply everything after that, and that's why the result is 1600. Now here is an exercise for you guys. um can you guys guess what is the result of, let me just check what was the question which I was gonna give you guys. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm writing out the question um, in this live chat section. Kindly execute it and give me the answer. So the question is bracket. Okay, so I've posted the question. Kindly execute this operation and then share the answer with me. You have to comment the result and also the data type of this expression. Okay, I've got one answer. Two, three. Okay, where are others? Advait, Akansha, Anshul, Prathamesh. Where is Sagarika? She is not answering. Okay, so I have received many answers. Now let us see what are the answers of each one. 455 float by Kuldeep, Ranjita -1, Lavanya Joshi 455, and float. Vidyut is 455 float. Advait Sawant is 455 again float. Okay. Is there anyone who has got an integer? Okay, Ranjita also 455.0 and float. Pranav Chaudhary. Okay. Everyone have got the same answer. That's cool. So even I will execute this code and I will show it to you guys what is the correct answer. So as you guys have executed it already and those who have not done it, it is for them. So 100 into 4 plus 60 minus 25 by 5. So Python will first of all divide this. So the answer will be 5 because 25 divided by 5 is 5. And then it will multiply 100 with 4. So 4 into 100 is what? 400 obviously. And then it will add it with 60. So 460. And then it will subtract it with 5. So it will be 455. So congratulations to who all have answered it correctly. It's good and good going. Keep it up. Now we will see what are variables in Python. Now Python, you might have seen I have stored values in some variables. Okay, these are only the variables which I have used in storing values. Now a is a variable, b is a variable. Now we give variables a unique name. I have violated that unique names rule in a lot of time in my Jupyter notebook because see, I have used a over here, then again I have used a over here. So I have overwritten the value of the same variable a lot of time. So we can do that, but I've done this because only for your explanation purposes. So now let me show you what variables are capable of doing. Now you can save the values of some addition, subtraction, or any operation in variable. Suppose I want to store the value of 10 into 8 in the variable a. So if I do this, Python will store the value of 80 in the variable a. Now if I print a, it will give me the result as 80 and not 10 into 8. So it will store the value of 80 in a. And now if I will again initialize the value of a with some other value or some other new value, suppose 40, it will override the previous value and it will replace the value of 80 with 40. Now if I print the value of a, it will be 40. And the same thing goes for other variables also. So if I reinitialize the variable with some new value, it will replace the old value. Now I can use the same variable to initialize a new variable. Suppose I'm creating a new variable which stores the value of a multiplied by 2. Now a stores 40 and b will store the value of 80. So you can see the value of b by this. So you can see that b has stored the value of a multiplied by 2 times. Now I can use these two variables to initialize a new variable which is c. So c equals to b plus a, and then again if I print c, you can see the result as 120. So Python makes a lot of things easier for us, and this was the like properties of variables also. Now you can do one thing. um, you can I'm giving you an exercise. So you have to store the values of total minutes which I write in my Jupyter notebook now in the variable called as total underscore min, and the values are 43, 42 and 57. You have to store the addition, the total of these three values in the variable total underscore min. Okay, and then I will tell you what you have to do. Then you have to divide these divide the total min values with 60 and store it in the new value which is total underscore hours. Okay, so once you do this, once you initialize the variable total underscore min with the three values, to the total of three values, just comment the total of three values in the comment section, so the chat section. Then we will proceed with the next part of this exercise. If you didn't get my question, then you can ask it again in the chat section, so I will reframe the sentence in better way. Okay, so Kuldeep has got the answer. What about others? Okay, you're okay, Ranjita Kotian. You have given the final answer. That's good. And this was the next question which I was gonna ask. What will be the answer for total lovers? And you did it already. It's good. What about others? Yeah, Kuldeep is also correct. Okay, so guys, once you store the values of the total minutes in the variable named as total min, you can simply use this total min variable to store the value of hours in the total hours by dividing it with 60. So let me just show you how you guys can do this. So I will create a variable named as total underscore min, and then I will write 43 plus 42 plus 57. So now if I try to write total underscore min, then execute it, it will give me the value as uh, 142. So then when I try to initialize the total underscore hours variable with the value of total underscore min, what I'm trying to say is I will do this by writing the total min variable, and then I will divide it by 60. Now when I try to print the value of total hours, then it will be 2.3667, and it is of the type float. Yes, you are right, it is type float. Now we can see, I mean, you guys have also done a small experiment with this. You have initialized the value of a variable, and then you have used the initialized variable to store values in new variable. Yes, Akansha, your answer is correct. It is 142, and it is an integer. Now, when you make it when you calculate the hours, it will be 2.366, and it will be float. So you're correct. And now by this time you guys have already known what are variables, what are expressions, what are different types in Python, and how to print in Python, and how to perform various operations. And you also know what hierarchy or what priorities given by Python to various operators, like division comes first, then then multiplication, then addition, and subtraction finally. So now I will end the live session, and I will contact all the winners of the previous quiz, and then let us, I mean, I will share the rewards with them. And then that's it for this webinar. Thank you so much for attending, guys, and I will meet you all in the next webinar, which will be mostly in the next week. And please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you liked my webinar, and support me by doing this. And that's it. Thank you all. See you in the next webinar. Bye bye. Yes, Sagarika Sahu, thank you so much. I mean, welcome. And Ranjita Kotian also, my mom. Thank you, mom. Bye.